Mom, don't listen to this episode.
Don't do it.
Don't listen to any episode.
Last time, the boys were sent in the right direction thanks to an unlikely friend. They have just arrived to the town of Riverfell. We don't know why, but we'll soon find out.
Finally, we made it to Riverfell. Feels like it took forever.
Well, you didn't even walk. You were just riding along on my back the whole time.
Yeah, my legs fell asleep, and then there's literally a pain in my ass.
Well, we need to find the Grand Wizard, so if you want to stretch your legs...
Oh yeah, that feels good. Maybe I can buy you a saddle, Colossal.
What do I look like, a horse?
Well, maybe make your back feel less uncomfortable, and then I won't have to.
Fine, but don't be an ass about it.
Alright, I'm out of here.
So, where are we gonna find the Grand Wizard?
Probably in the astronomy tower. I've been told he's fascinated by the worlds unlike our own, so there's a good chance he'll be there.
Do you think he could help us with the map?
I'd be shocked if he couldn't. Come on, let's get to him at once. The faster we move, the quicker we'll be on our way.
What is the map? What do they need the Grand Wizard for? Is Colossal a horse? Find out next time. Welcome to Oh Baby a Triple.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Oh Baby a Triple, the podcast that started as a TV show, turned into a radio show, and is now, as I said, a podcast. I'm your host, Corey McCrae, and I watched a lot of Netflix, but I'm also in LA. Hello.
Hello.
I think
Hello.
I think it's redundant. I said that last week, definitely, but fuck it.
Well, now it's a recap at the beginning, so now everyone knows.
It's a recap
They
of
might
just-
not have watched the last episode, but they're watching
Yes.
this one, so now you're catching them up.
It's true. Yeah, it is true. I am.
And also, Harry wasn't in the last episode, so now...
Yeah, now
No, Harry-
I'm getting caught up. Now I know that you're in LA.
There he
Yeah.
goes. It
So
all
Harry
works
got
out.
the recap episode.
Yeah, see? It's important.
He needed it. He truly needed it. Ryan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I never know who goes next. Ever.
Someday we'll figure that out.
You know
I feel
what?
like
Maybe I'll just direct the next person to just
Sure.
take over.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and I have now found a new love for literature beyond just really bad erotica stories like Chuck Tingle books.
Hell yeah. You talk about Harlequin romances?
Oh, absolutely. I
Oh,
read
your
this
favorite.
really good... I found some pretty good ones.
Can you enlighten us a little bit?
Oh, sure. I found out there's Amish, Amish Harlequin novels. Which
Hell yeah.
I didn't know was a thing until recently.
Huh.
It's all about being Amish and how much, and it's apparently extremely popular. I didn't know this. It's like some of the top selling stuff on like audible.com. I went on Audible and I was just looking at books, and next thing you know it was like Amish romance. I was like, what the fuck? And then I dug into a hole of like researching Harlequin novels that are Amish.
Picking his wife off of the milking stool, he laid her down gently on the bed of hay.
I hate it.
I wonder how bad it is. Like I didn't read it and I didn't want to, but I was kind of like, I wonder if they're any comically bad, but I don't know.
I do wonder too.
Maybe we should nix the other, like the radio drama project, and just go with writing Harlequin romance. Like,
Is this a good time to announce the radio drama project?
Yeah.
'Cause
oh yeah, we
talked about it
haven't
yet.
talked about it on the show, so yeah, yeah, probably.
But also, we should introduce who our other guest is.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, that's less important. So wait, do you want me to? Okay,
Yeah!
Corey. No.
We'll
Okay, I
talk
think
about
there was a bit of a misunderstanding. Because you said we should introduce the other guests, and then Corey said, we'll get to that in a second. And I was like, okay, I guess we're just skipping my introduction for now.
I said, I meant we'll get to the radio in a second. We'll introduce Harry now.
Okay, well, I'm Harry. I apparently can't hear for shit. And I guess I just learned that Corey moved to LA.
Yeah.
That was a big surprise for me.
Yeah. Ryan's still reeling. All right, I'm glad the first 5 minutes of this show is, as always, a train wreck. Yeah, we're in the work. We're working on it right now. We're still kind of figuring stuff out. Doing a radio show for the Wow Factory YouTube channel and potentially some of the podcasting sites. So we're still in the works of figuring it out, but we're really excited to tell you guys about it. We don't have a name for it yet, but we're working on this kind of serious Twilight Zone-esque
Like
episodic
horror, sci-fi kind of,
Yeah.
that kind of idea. It's coming
We're
along.
really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. I'm excited that we have another project that we're working on.
Honestly, yeah.
Like it's cool. It feels good to be expanding our creative energies,
Yeah.
which is like probably the worst way I could have worded that, but
Yeah, this show is going to take a definitely different tone to Oh Baby a Triple.
very different.
Or Oh Baby a Triple is a lot of times are kind of like testing ground and just figuring stuff out and just a fun kind of who cares kind of show. This show, we're going to kind of take a step in the more professional direction, trying to make something that is a bit
Good.
more structured and a bit more thought out. Excited
It's gonna be
for it.
cool.
We don't have,
Look
we don't have a
forward to
name
it.
for it yet.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
figuring that out.
We're in the works, yeah. But super excited for it. So keep your ears peeled. It's a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Peel
you
those
don't really
ears, folks.
You don't really peel an ear like an,
Yeah, you do.
It makes
You
me feel like
No, you do. You peel an ear of corn. You have to peel the parts off of it to get to the corn.
oh,
So that's what Corey was referring to.
Yeah. You
This
know.
is an
So
Amish podcast, so peel your corn.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Shuck
your
that
corn.
corn, my girl.
Shuck it.
Maybe there's a really hot corn shucking scene in some of them. she like tries to get the hairy bits out of the corn, and she's like stroking it. And he's like, oh, and he's like getting sweaty.
They got like the little butter like rubbing the corn on the cob.
The butter's glistening and sparkling.
Why is she eating the corn from the end of it? I don't. Oh,
Oh, she didn't even bite it. She just went down on it.
she swallowed it whole.
She comes back up and she has like the corn floss hanging out of her teeth.
Oh my god! Actually, she takes the corn and then she's like eating it from the end, and then like she eats it whole. But then he finds out she's actually a snake, and her jaw unhinges like a snake, and then just swallows it whole. And then a snake falls out of her body.
And then he
Ryan,
it's like a
Ryan,
snake.
we don't want to give away the plots for our radio drama yet.
That's right.
Oh my god.
So
I'm glad you're exploring the side of yourself, Ryan.
I'm sorry. I feel bad. This is a dark side to me.
The true Ryan.
The Amish Ryan.
The true. Do we want to hop into general topics?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Corey, why don't you start us off?
I actually do have one topic I could bring up. Is another podcast I've been listening to. The
How dare you.
Adventure Zone is finishing a. How dare I? How dare I? How dare
Are
I
you-
so
Corey, are
well
you-
prepare an
Are you
impromptu
cheating
topic?
on us?
No, it's just something I've been really digging into recently.
Unbelievable.
Well, it's media. You can consume it. I think I can talk about it.
All right, go on.
Ryan's talking about a book. So I'm really excited because the Adventure Zone is coming to an end on their most recent arc, and they're kind of just getting into it. They recently did a D&D, like when they started the thing, they did a D&D game and they called it the Balance Arc, where it was this whole long chapters of campaigns where they did this whole world. And after finishing that, they decided to do a couple like short form things and then start a whole new universe. It's completely disconnected, but this one's like takes place in the more modern day, and like I think I'm trying to remember which state it takes place in. I think it's Vermont, but it takes place in these mountains, and it's very sci-fi, very thriller. And they follow the they don't follow the Dungeons and Dragons game. They follow a different method called Monster of the Week, which is basically this kind of the story is this like Buffy style or this supernatural style series where kind of like each episode they tackle a new monster. And it got really good, and I've really gotten into it, and I'm very sad it's over. But I'm, I guess on the other end, excited that they've got a new one coming.
That sounds pretty
And
cool.
it's really interesting how like huge these like role-playing podcasts are now. They've kind of just like blown up in the past couple of years.
You know what that means, right?
Yeah.
That's another
new
bandwagon
show?
we got to jump on. Time to make some YouTube money.
I stole
Can't imagine.
everybody's idea.
I took everybody's idea, and then made it my own.
We repackaged it.
Yeah, repackaged it
sold
with
it.
a new name, and it worked.
Yeah.
And it worked real good. But yeah, the Adventure Zone is this one's called Amnesty. This arc that they're finishing up right now, and they're just a bunch of really good comedians and a bunch of really good. They're all brothers and their dad. It's 3 bros and their dad playing, and it's just it's a big fun time. You kind of like play vicariously through them.
Yeah. I love the Adventure Zone. It's a great podcast just to listen to when you're just driving and just want to listen to some storytelling and some goofs and
Full of
gaffes.
goofs, and then periodic moments of like real emotion,
Yeah.
and it's just so good.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
So I've
I'm
been
really
big
excited
into
for the
that.
new arc. I can't wait for them to do more stuff. I'm sure they have a lot of good ideas on the table. I have not been disappointed with listening to the Adventure Zone myself.
Yeah, most of the time Griffin McElroy is the one that's DMing. When they do the like little one-offs or the little like short form episodes, either like Travis or Justin or their dad, Clint, might DM. But damn, Griffin's got like a really good way of like weaving a story together. Not only that, but weaving an impromptu kind of story together where there's like some of it structured, but a lot of it isn't, because he's letting everyone kind of make their own decisions and make their own important story choices. It's just, I think as a writer, I think it's really impressive, and I kind of strive for that ability to like be able to tell a story like that.
Absolutely.
So, I think that's all I have to say about Amnesty and the Adventure Zone.
I've been meaning to.
Podcasting's pretty
I
cool.
want to check out more of those, like the Dungeons and Dragons type podcasts, because I know like you listen to those. My brother listens to like a lot of that kind of stuff, and it all seems really cool. It's just like they're all like hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I listen to it when I'm
Adventure
working.
Zone's pretty good. It's like less than an hour. It's usually around 40 minutes. 45
Oh, okay,
minutes.
cool. That's actually
Yeah,
like bite-sized, like
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
consumable.
very digestible.
Yeah,
like that.
I feel like it was easy to listen to while I was at work and I just drove around and stuff like that. I could throw on like an episode and I can get through an episode in like pretty much half a shift.
I might have to check that
So,
out.
Yeah. I actually started re-listening to the first arc they did because I wanted to get to my favorite arc, which is called the Crystal Kingdom. But yeah, it's like super. You feel like you're flying through it. They do a good job of making them like short enough for you to listen to, and not feel like you're wasting time or having to dedicate a whole chunk of the day to listening.
I also like that they've been taking that story and then making comic books out of them. Because I actually have the first 2 volumes that they made.
I see the
Yeah,
comics
of it in
every time I
comics.
go to the comic book store.
Oh yeah,
I have the first one. I still don't have the Rockport Express, which is their second volume.
Yeah, I have the first 2, and I love being able to read it and then put visuals to it. But although a lot of the visuals are all in your imagination, which is kind of the fun of it, and things
It's
like
so
that.
weird because it's the first piece of media I've ever read. It's the first like comic I've ever read where I know exactly what the voices sound like, but the visuals
Yeah.
are a new experience.
Right.
It's wildly strange because you usually make up the voice in your head, but now after listening to this podcast for like however many years, I just know exactly what everyone sounds like.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll let one of you two fight over who wants to be next.
Well, I have like a lot of stuff. So do we want to do my stuff or do we want to do Ryan, who looks like he just has like one thing in the docket?
Well, I see Mitch is on the docket too, but it's just
Mitch.
it's just me.
Mitch the gremlin. He's a gremlin.
He's a little gremlin, so it's probably more like
Yeah, that's true.
That sounds like Mitch, yeah.
I spent too much time driving across the country with Mitch. I know exactly what he sounds like. I guess Ryan.
What are we doing? Ryan,
Yeah,
go
I guess that'll be me. So I read a book lately. I really wanted to read Terry Pratchett because I read Good Omens, that was adapted into the Netflix, not Netflix, Amazon series. And I really like Neil Gaiman as a writer, and I thought he was really good. And then I saw that it was written by Terry Pratchett too, and I really wanted to like read Terry Pratchett because I heard a lot of good things about his books, and I heard he's like the grandfather of like comedy, like fantasy. So
Right.
I kind of wanted to read it. So I read the first book in like a huge series he did. He wrote 39 books in this series. It's called the Discworld series.
Wow.
And I read the very first book in the whole series, which is called The Color of Magic. And I had an absolute blast reading this. It's a very quick read. It didn't take very long to get through it. But it's probably one of the most imaginative, probably one of the most inventive and extremely funny adventures, like fantasy stories I've read. And I don't know, it got me really into wanting to read more Terry Pratchett for sure. And I'm going to read pretty much all of the Discworld series now because I'm absolutely hooked. I couldn't put this book down. So I had a lot of fun, and it was like kind of cool that it was because I liked one author, read the book Good Omens, and then was like, hey, who's that author? And then read this guy's stuff, and now I'm like all about his books now.
That's awesome.
Have you seen the show,
Good Omens?
The Color of Magic?
Is there a Color of Magic show?
There is.
It's
It
probably
stars-
a BBC miniseries, if anything.
I think it might be Amazon. It stars Sean Astin.
I did not know about this. If there is,
Well, I mean, it's got a
'Cause-
pretty awesome cast. It's got Sean Astin, like Tim Curry and Christopher Lee are both in it.
I have to take a look. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Brian Cox and Jeremy Irons.
I see. There's a television film from like 2008.
Oh, it might not be. Maybe it was when I was
Yeah,
looking
it
through
was
it.
a-
Maybe
there was
it's
a
like
TV
it's available on Amazon.
Yeah, no, there's a TV miniseries for the it was a television film of the adaptation of The Color of Magic. Mm-hmm. It was probably through the BBC, but yeah, I have not seen anything of that at all. I did not know that was a thing. I don't know if that's the same thing.
Me
either.
neither until 5 minutes ago. I was looking at the book.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
no,
oh,
it
it's
is.
a show.
It is actually. Yeah, you're right. Terry Pratchett's The Color of Magic. There it is. It's a 2-part television adaptation of The Color of Magic and The Light Fantastic, which The Light Fantastic is the second book that
Okay.
continues The Color of Magic, because those two are like pretty much conjoined part 1s, part 2s. So I have to read the next one. But yeah, no, okay. I'll have to watch that then. I had no idea. Yeah, it came out in 2008. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, I will have to watch that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for introducing me to that. I was actually just
don't
thinking.
thank
I'm
me.
like, this would be great if this was like adapted, because it like plays out really well that it could be easily like turned into something. But
Right.
cool. The one thing is, like, I was a little shocked. This book has a lot more violence in it than I expected.
Oh, it sounds like a fun, cute book, but then
There's like hard violence in it. Like, there's a scene in which like it's supposed to be played for like comedic effect of like, you know, this character, he's like a useless wizard. He only knows one spell because he absorbed like this ultimate spell in his head, and he can't learn any others, and he got kicked out of university. And he's going to, like, the whole story is about this wizard taking this naive tourist around this this like fair, you know, this fantasy world. And he's just like, so this guy is like really kind of like naive. He like throws around like gold all over the place, and he overpays people, and like people in the town are like thieves, and he's like in a really dingy, dirty town, and so they're like, you should really put that money in a way. And he's got like a walking suitcase, luggage case and stuff like that follows along with him. He has like a camera that has like a imp inside of it that draws the pictures and stuff like that for him.
like that?
As it's like a camera, but it has like a lens and everything on it. So it's really
it's
funny
beautiful.
how it like incorporates that. And it's like the most stereotypical, like how he looks is exactly like the stereotypical tourist. He has like a Hawaiian-esque shirt on and like a hat and glasses and
Nice.
stuff like that. And he's so naive to everything, but he's always wowed by everything, even though everything is incredibly dangerous. So like there's this huge bar fight where like people are dying. Like literally a man gets a spear thrown through him. A guy chucks an axe and like the wizard ducks and like stabs the dude behind him and kills him. Like there's like mayhem and chaos. He runs into the room and then closes the door, and the guy's like, oh, are we ready to go? He's like, we should really get out of here and go somewhere else safer. And he's like, oh, is there a fight? I want to see this. Like, and he just wants to take it all in. He's like, I want to see a legit bar fight. And he's like,
It's always
and
been my
everybody's
dream.
dying.
Oh my god.
It's really funny, but it's also extremely violent. So and like Death is like a real like character who like hangs around and stuff like that and talks, and he's like, you should really just kill yourself so then I can just take your soul. That would be kind of great.
What a nice guy.
It's awesome. No, I love this book. It's a lot. It's great. I love it. I had a lot of fun reading it. So
Now,
it's cool.
good.
another thing I need to check out.
Yeah,
How-
and it's very.
You said it was
it's
like a
very
like a
short
quick
book.
read?
Yeah, it's pretty quick read. I mean, it was like 200 pages or so.
Okay.
And it's like fairly
shit.
like it's fairly like big font, so it's not like I got through it pretty easily. I had no issues.
Big,
and it's-
thick font book.
Yeah,
yeah.
Those are my favorite.
It's a nice pocket-sized book, and again, I got through it pretty quick. I read it in like a night and I think in 2 days I read it. So this is worth it.
Damn.
I'll have to pick it up after I finish the books that I'm already reading.
Yeah.
I'm
Which
currently
one-
reading nothing, so I think I could pick that up.
And it's been out since like the 80s, so it's like super cheap. You can find it probably really easily.
Oh hell yeah!
Like
I
bought
love
it. I
super
bought
cheap.
it. Yeah, I think I bought it for like $7, maybe, like $6. But I bought a physical copy. If you buy it on like digital, you could probably buy it for like about roughly the same, maybe
It's
a
like
little
Audible
cheaper.
free.
If you get if you do like the trial, you can get it for free on Audible. So there you go.
Oh yeah, we are not sponsored by Audible, but
We are not. Yeah.
Audible, if you want to sponsor us, we'd be more than happy.
Yeah, call me. Should I give them my
That
phone
was our-
number? Or
Yeah, just send out your
Yeah, we
actual
just-
phone number.
no, it's probably a bad idea. Now that I'm
I
thinking
think-
about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. The most excited part about reading Discworld that I am for is like I'm really excited to read the book, Mort, which is about Death
Mort?
getting a assistant. Yeah, it's about how Death is like he's finally getting to a point where he needs he needs some help. So he gets an assistant named Mort, who's just some Joe Schmo guy who's like, hey, I'm new in the office. Tell me how to do my job. And he's like, so he's Death's assistant. And I really can't wait to read that. And then there's also another
Sounds
book.
so good.
There's a Christmas book that he wrote in the Discworld series that's actually part of the Death series, where it's called Hog's Father, where essentially instead of like Santa, they have the Hog's Father, and Death becomes Santa Claus. It's so great.
Oh my
So
god.
personally, I'm very excited to read these books. So I can't wait.
Literary comedy is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's awesome. And they're just really good fantasy books too. They're just like straight up really fun fantasy books with like,
Right.
that are intense and can have action and excitement, but also it can just have some levity to it where it's just like some dumb bullshit's gonna happen and you're gonna laugh at it. So
you're gonna have a
I
good
kind of liked
time.
it. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for me though. So yeah,
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm yawning.
How dare you?
I'm offended.
Here we go.
All right,
It's okay. You could be offended.
I've got a bunch of things, but I'm gonna go pretty fast through them, so I'm not wasting our time.
Yeah.
So I've been playing a lot of video games. I just finished. So Zelda came out on the 20th. Zelda Link's Awakening, So before that,
Cute-ass
I wanted to
little game.
finish Fire Emblem: The Three Houses, just because like I've been playing that game for a while, and I didn't want that on top of all the other games that are coming out. So I beat that. Fire Emblem: The Three Houses was really good. I finished one of the 3 routes because there's 3 different houses, obviously, that you can choose,
Yeah.
and you get a completely different story depending on which route you take.
That's absolutely wild.
and
It's so much gameplay.
It really is, and each one's like it took me 50 something. I think between 50 and 60 hours to beat the one route. So then, like, there's 3 of them, and they're all completely different, and they all have a different cast of characters, and they're all like the same story, but they're all different sides of it, basically. So, like,
Okay.
there's a war going on, and you get to pick which side of the war you're playing. And I picked the Golden Deer. They're pretty cool. They felt like the most traditional. These are the good guys. Like, the game ends with you fighting like an evil king. Like,
Oh yeah.
but you can also pick like one of them is you get to play as like the bad guys.
Nice.
So it's got like that kind of like you play as different sides of the same story. And I'm very excited to eventually do like New Game Plus and play through those versions. But for now, I'm taking a break so I can play Zelda,
Fair
which
enough.
is very good so far. It's a Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. It's a remake of the Game Boy game of the same name, which I played the Game Boy game when I was a little kid, but it's been so long that I really barely remember it.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool getting to re-experience this game on the Switch and in such a like absolutely gorgeous art style. Like,
Yeah.
I've really been meaning to pick up this game, and you're helping push it.
I think you especially I think would really love it because it definitely get like hardcore Corey vibes from it.
It's very cute. It's very artsy. It's not indie, but it kind of mirrors it.
Yeah. So that's been a lot of fun. I'm not super far into it. I've only done like the first couple of dungeons. I really love like the classic like top-down style of Zelda games. So it's fun to, be going back to that with a brand new game. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's cool seeing all of the like the really weird stuff in it because Link's Awakening is like known for being one of the weirder Zelda games.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
like a ton of Mario characters in it, like Mario enemies and stuff.
Yeah.
Like in the main town, there's just a chain chomp, and you can like take it for
Yes.
a walk, and it just eats enemies. Or you go to like underground
That's-
sections that are filled with Goombas and piranha plants and stuff.
That's kind of great. I like that.
The perfect crossover game.
It's awesome, and I'm excited to dig more into that because I want to beat that. Well, this isn't gonna happen, but Dragon Quest XI comes out on the 27th, so I wanted to beat Zelda before that came out. That's not gonna happen because I have like 4 days, and I'm not gonna have the time to play Zelda. But who knows? Maybe I will.
You just gotta lock yourself up in your room and just play
I-
nothing but Zelda for the next 100 hours.
Oh, it's not that long of a game. It's a Game Boy game, so I think it's like probably less than 10 hours long.
There you go.
And then also, I've been playing River City Girls, which is really, really, really good. It's kind of funny. So I've been waiting for this game to come out for like a long time. I was very excited for it. It's the newest. It's a new game by WayForward, who is like a fantastic developer. They made like all the Shantae games. They made the DuckTales remastered. And River City Girls is the new game in the River City franchise. It's called Kunio-kun in Japan, like the franchise, and there's like a billion more games that were never released here. But it's River City Ransom for the Nintendo, which is like, super classic OG Nintendo game where you're playing as like these street punks and they have to like save their kidnapped girlfriends. Whereas in this one, you play as the girlfriends and you have to rescue your kidnapped boyfriends. And
That's
That's
funny.
awesome.
it's like a side-scrolling like beat 'em up style game, with like super pretty, like pixel art animations and everything, and it's got like fully animated cutscenes and everything's fully voiced, and it's got like a phenomenal soundtrack. Like I was just
Yeah,
I was
remember you
listening
posting
to
that.
I've just been listening to it while I was working on art, and it's so good. It's like very synth poppy, and it's got a bunch of songs with vocals, and when they come on at like the perfect time while you're playing the game, and it's so good.
I gotta sit down and listen to that when you shared it in Discord, because it sounds like my jam.
I definitely recommend it. There's such a good soundtrack. And speaking of the soundtrack, so the other day in our group chat I was complaining because I was really excited for River City Girls, but it's launched at $30, which I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend $30 on like a beat 'em up game when I just bought Zelda and I'm about to get Dragon Quest. And then through some trickery, I was able to get it for like basically free.
Oh,
I just paid tax on it because I took advantage of GameStop and their coupons and everything.
nice.
And I started playing it, and I was like, yes, I love this game. And I I pre-ordered the physical edition of the game for more than $30 because it comes with the soundtrack, like a physical CD.
Oh shit.
Because I honestly like love the soundtrack for this game so much, and I really want to own a CD of it. But you can't just buy a CD.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with buying a physical card, so it's like a collector's thing, I guess. But yeah, very very much love this game. Recommend it to anybody that is interested in video games.
Hell yeah.
What's next? I just read a manga titled "The Way of the House Husband," and it's one of the most like perfect stupid comics I've ever read.
I think I know this one.
It's a manga series published by Viz in America, and the first volume just came out like this week. I've had it pre-ordered for a while, and it doesn't really have like a story, but the idea is it follows the daily adventures of a former Yakuza, like a highly respected, like fearsome Yakuza member who retired and now he's a stay-at-home dad.
Hell yeah.
And it's just like
Nice.
he's doing every day, like he's like sweeping and like has a Roomba and stuff, but he does it like really, really intense because he's in the Yakuza and everyone's like terrified of him.
I've seen like snippets of this art online, and I've read like a chapter here and there, and I love it.
It's so
like,
funny. Like
taking things way too seriously.
That's exactly what it is. It had like so many moments that just had me like laughing out loud because it was just it's so stupid, but in like the funniest way.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's really good. I'm excited for the next volume to be printed so I can read that. I've also been reading. I'm continuing my journey into the Monogatari series. I'm reading I think it's the 9th book. Kabuki Monogatari, which is Dandy Tale in English.
Kabuki.
It's so stupid. I love this series so much because it's so fucking stupid. This series it's like it follows this boy. He's like a high school boy, and he deals with like monster stuff and whatever. So he has this little like vampire girl, where she's like. They have like a link or a bond or something. She's like his sidekick. She just has superpowers basically. So she can do anything like reality warping and whatever. And this volume takes place at the day before the summer ends. And he realizes that he didn't do any of his summer homework. So she's like, "Hey, I can time travel." He's like, "You can time travel?" And she's like, "Yeah, you want to go back to yesterday so we can do your homework?" And he's like, "All right, yeah, let's do that." And then they time travel, and it ends up, she fucks up, so now they're 10 years in the past, and they're stuck there. And that's just what this story is.
That sounds so ridiculous.
It's like, they... so they're like stuck 10 years into the past, because he didn't do any of his summer homework. It's so stupid, and I love it. It's like a hilarious series, and I'm not doing it justice by describing it.
Yeah. I'm sure it's really good. I mean, the Monogatari series I know is like really like not afraid to get weird and bizarre. But that one, I did not even know that they did even a story about time travel, which I think that's pretty funny. That sounds actually extremely entertaining.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I already have, like, what I've been doing with this series is I read through the books fast enough that I've been, like, buying the next book before I finish the current one. So I have them, like, queued up on my shelf.
Hell yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, love this series. Recommend it to anybody that likes stupid books.
How deep are you into it now? Because I know
This is the 9th book.
when we talked. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you're making headway now.
There are 29 books in the series, I believe, most of which aren't actually published in English yet. I think there's like maybe 18 or 20 of them available here. So
okay.
I'm making my way through it. Eventually I'll catch
that's
up
awesome.
and I'll be sad because I'll have to wait, but that's fine.
You and me both have a series that's gonna take a long time to read.
Good times mega series.
Jeez.
All right, now I get to the movie stuff. I watched Promare, which was amazing. It just came out here on the 17th is when I saw it. It's the newest project from Studio Trigger and from the team, I don't remember his name, the director and writer and character designer and etc., like that whole team that did like Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill, those kind of projects. What's his name? Imaishi is the director, and Nakashima is the screenplay writer. But Promare, it's this new film. It's basically the best way to sum up this movie is that it's like 100% style over substance. Like this movie does not give a shit about its story. The story is a vehicle for incredible animation.
It looks so good.
It's gorgeous. Like I think this is the best looking like anime I've seen in like so long, and it blends 2D and CG animation like really, really well, where you honestly most of the time can't even tell.
That's cool.
And it's got this really cool, like, everything's geometric. Like it's one of the main parts of the film is like it's about flames, but the flames are all like purple and neon blue and like triangular, and they don't move naturally. Like everything is geometric. Even like the lens flares are squares. Like,
nice.
It's so cool looking. But yeah, it was a gorgeous film. I recommend going to see it. It's wild. They do some really crazy stuff in it. There's are you guys gonna go see this movie, or can I say like a spoiler?
I plan on seeing the movie, but I hardly ever care about spoilers, so you're free to go.
I'm the same way, so you can do whatever you want.
Let me give you an example of how little this movie cares about its story. So they're very like tongue-in-cheek and very self-aware about it. Like there's a part like towards the end of the movie where the two main characters, they like lose a fight to the main villain, and they get like shot across the sky and like land in this lake of like frozen ice, and then it like evaporates and everything. And underneath the lake, they find like a giant facility, and they go inside the facility, and there's like a robot of this professor guy who he's been waiting there for 40 years for someone to show up, and he creates like a machine that can defeat the flame guy, the villain. And it's like they didn't set any of this up at any point in the film. And the machine, it's a giant mecha, and it's literally named the Deus Ex Machina.
Jesus Christ.
And they're like, you've just been waiting here all this time? He's like, yeah. He's like, then how'd you know we were going to come? He's like, well, I didn't. I've just been waiting. And they're like, so what if no one ever came? And he's like, I guess the world would have probably died then. like it's...
God damn.
They're very tongue-in-cheek and very just... They know what they're doing, and it's hilarious, and it's fun. It's just a blast.
This sounds akin to like Fast and Furious, like how you're describing Hobbs and Shaw was like fighting at midday, and then they fall off a cliff, and it's night, and then it's raining in the next scene, just because it's cool.
It's just a roller coaster ride of a movie. Like, it's very much worth watching if you like anything, just beautiful animation and just like wild action and just fun.
Well, that's good.
And then the last thing I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about this quickly because I didn't like it, was It Chapter 2. Not a good movie. Yeah.
I heard it wasn't that good.
It
I was
was
a little
unfortunate.
disappointed.
It was
To hear that.
it was a 3-hour long movie that did not need to be 3 hours long. There's
That's
like
too bad.
literally the entire middle hour of the movie was flashback scenes
Oh.
where they're like,
Yeah.
all right guys, now we all have to go find our tokens of power so we can defeat Pennywise. And they all split up separately and go on their own 20-minute adventure where they have a flashback scene and they're like,
Oh,
remember
jeez.
the last movie where they were kids? Remember how you liked
Yeah.
that? And that's
Yeah.
that's like an entire hour of the movie that did not need to be there, and it literally doesn't. It does not pay off at the end of the film. Like there's no reason for that to have
unfortunate.
happened.
I heard that there's a moment in which it does like a lot of flashbacks where it shows what happened after they had split apart,
Yeah.
and somebody was like, "Why was this even here? That didn't even need to be in the movie."
100%.
And I was like, because I remember they were building this up saying, "Oh, this is a big 3-hour movie, and it was gonna be like all this stuff." But then they just, I hate that they're constantly having to go back
Yeah, it's-
to the like kid stuff when it's like we already told that story. That part is done. Tell us the stuff that's going on with the adults and the modern day versions of them. Why are we going backwards to it? I mean, I guess to reference it, but it's not needed.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
The movie
I'm still
was
gonna
like
see it, but-
mostly filler. Like honestly, it was.
Yeah.
I did not like it.
That sounds very disappointing. I'm still gonna go see It Chapter 2 anyways, but I'm going in with lowered expectations because I heard a lot of people say it wasn't as good as the first one.
Ryan, you could bring one of your books and read it while the movie's going on.
You honestly, you can take an hour-long break in the middle of a movie and not miss a thing.
I probably couldn't be reading it while watching it and get more out of it.
Yeah. Here
All right.
you go.
But yeah, no,
So
I don't know.
I am now done
That's
with my
disappointing.
deluge of stupid things to talk about.
Cool. That's it for
yeah.
that's it for general topics.
That's it for the episode.
We would
We're
go
done now.
It's a commercial break. Ryan, take it away.
But right after these messages, we're gonna deep dive into my butt. Bye.
You can't just like hold on. I did the whole commercial break thing, and then you did. We're gonna go to
that was
commercial.
what you meant?
You're supposed to be
Oh,
the
I thought you
commercial, Ryan.
Oh,
Yeah.
I am the commercial. Well, here.
No, the commercial was right after this commercial break. So
Okay, so the commercial break is. Don't forget, Tampax is your best friend.
yep.
You got something going on in the nether regions, Tampax it.
I really hope.
Even if it's hemorrhoids,
I
Tampax it.
really hope if we get sponsored, it's like a tampon company wants us to sponsor
I
them.
feel like that's on brand for Oh Baby.
Let's have 3 white men sponsor tampons.
Maybe KY jelly. I don't know.
I mean, that one I can see. That one's a little bit more realistic, but
I guess. No, Vagisil. Sorry, we could do Vagisil actually.
could you imagine just like I use KY jelly so much because I'm so long. So here we are sponsoring it.
I don't know what we would have done to get that sponsorship, but I don't want to
I'm
know.
gonna send an email to KY jelly today. So we'll
Just
see
be like,
by
please
next.
sponsor us.
God fucking damn it.
Okay.
All right,
So our
well,
main topic this week was a deep dive into Netflix original series.
yee.
Woo. And I think that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. There was like I tried to find out how many Netflix originals there are. And frickin' no website gives me a number. The best thing I could find is Wikipedia lists out all of the like a whole
Like
list of
individually?
Netflix originals. Yeah, so
You count
great.
them all?
I gave up because I thought this is stupid. But it's close to 1,000.
Oh,
That's insane.
And that includes original television shows, original movies, original documentaries, because those are different, original spin-offs and continuations, which is like Fuller House would be like a continuation, and original Children and Family. So it's close to 1,000. I think it's somewhere over 700.
Jeez.
So it's a lot. Netflix has been pumping these out, and it's
Oh yeah.
it's like thousands and thousands of hours of content. That's like you could be watching Netflix for months. I think almost a year and still not be able to get through all of these stuff that there is.
And it's like,
So yeah,
there's honestly so much good stuff. I mean, I feel like probably like 80% of their output isn't good, and that's why we don't know about it. It's just like under the surface. But
Yeah,
there really is
honestly.
like they do put out so many good shows and movies and everything.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
I
worry.
definitely am always blown away by how talented like the creators are and the like the variety of shows they give. Like I really love Netflix originals.
Netflix has a lot of good originals, but don't you worry. I found some bad Netflix originals.
Oh, me
boy.
too.
So
I'm going to talk a little bit
I-
about one of them.
I sought out. So my thing was documentaries is what I focused on. Ryan, what did you focus on?
I just did mostly like TV shows I was watching. Just
Okay.
shows that I personally have been watching or wanting to get into. So,
Nice.
so nothing really particular.
Yeah. What about you, Harry?
I want to talk about The Naked Director, which is a Netflix series that I watched recently that I really, really loved.
Okay. I think that's a good place to start because that's the only thing you're going to be talking about, right?
Yes, we're flip flopping where I've only got one thing for this
Yeah.
this bit. Okay, so The Naked Director, it's a Netflix original series, and it's 8 episodes long.
Okay.
Each episode's like about an hour long, but it's basically it's set in the 80s and 80s Japan, and it's based on the real life story of the famous Japanese porn director Toru Muranishi, who he's known in Japan as the Emperor of Porn because he like basically pioneered the modern like porn industry in the country, because like they're a lot stricter over there about like pornography than they are like here, where in the 80s they weren't allowed to film actual porn, like everything was faked. Like they were like had like prosthetic like penises and like they had like taped up like the genitals and stuff like to cover everything. Like it was heavily censored. And, you know, even just distributing it, you would be, or filming or anything, like it's a jail sentence. Like you're going to jail. But this guy, so
Yeah.
at the beginning of the series, he's a very unsuccessful encyclopedia salesman. And he's, he's like real shit, but he realizes he like mentees this like higher up guy, and he like learns how to become a salesman, and then eventually he kind of learns that there's a lot more money in selling like porn magazines instead of like selling encyclopedias and whatever.
Right.
So he like becomes friends with this guy Toshi, who's like a kind of like a skeevy, like he audio records people in like love motels, and he's like in the next door room, and he's just like has a thing up to the wall, and he's recording it, and he sells them.
Oh God.
And like they start selling like porn magazines. They open up their own like bookstores and stuff. And it's like so this one guy is like good at the underground stuff, and the other guy is really good at being like a salesman and like actually running a company. And they kind of start getting into some shit where they start getting into criminal stuff. They go to jail a couple of times. They start working with the Yakuza. It gets very intense. It's also like really funny but it's basically think like Breaking Bad, but except it's about porn instead of about drugs. Like it's a really good drama.
I'm the one who cocks.
It's so good. It's so stupid, but in the best way. It's and it is like a serious drama. Like this is about something that actually happened in the 80s, and it's really cool seeing how they, how he basically, this small group of people like revolutionized the porn industry.
It's like Boogie Nights, but for Japan.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's
I love that. That's great.
Boogie Nights.
It's really cool because it's about them like kind of like what's the word? Like de-tabooing.
Like decriminalizing.
No, like it's like sex was a taboo. Like any sort of like sexuality, anything. And it's about these people that are kind of like embracing it, I guess, and like making it normal for people to be sexual in a very cloistered like culture. It's very cool.
Yeah.
I love it a lot.
And even still, Japanese pornography, they still censor genitals and penetration and stuff like that. But I think it's more for a fetish reason or something like that from what I was told.
I don't know.
It's tasteful now.
Yeah, because now it's like they mostly do it just because the people of Japan have said that like censoring of that stuff is like mostly just for putting it to the user's imagination instead of just showing it. So it kind of makes it a little more like exciting to watch.
That's a big thing in like this series, is that he's the person that like pioneered that, because he had to like come up with like workarounds because he would go to jail if he filmed straight up porn. So it was like semi-censored, but he would like there's like one bit where they're filming porn and he has the woman she has like a whistle, like a shitty like kazoo. Where he has her like blow on the kazoo at certain points in order to like convey how excited she is or something, and it becomes like this bestseller, like crazy, like sells out. She becomes a celebrity. Like
what?
It's really cool because it's about like he's a salesman and he's coming up with these ways to get around all of these regulations.
That actually sounds really good. How many is it? Like you said, it's a series,
yeah, it's
right?
8 episodes. There's only one season. It came out over the summer, like this summer, and it's already been renewed for a second season, like a week after it came out.
Awesome. I might actually check that out. That sounds really awesome. That sounds really interesting, actually.
It's
From
so
the
cool.
Trailer, it looks really good too. So.
Oh yeah, it's like a
should check
genuinely really well crafted television show. And cool. I recommend it to anyone who likes porn. It's very insightful.
Harry approved.
Kid tested,
oh my God,
mother approved. I don't want to know.
Mom,
I don't want to go any further into that. I don't want to know what that means.
To my mother, who potentially could be listening to this episode, I'm gonna watch The Naked Director, but it's not because your son's addicted to pornography.
Mom, don't listen to this episode.
Just
Mom,
don't do it.
Don't listen to any episode.
This hasn't been mom tested and mom approved.
I'm gonna cut that bit into the very beginning of this episode.
Warning: this episode is not mom tested or mother approved.
Yes.
There you go. That's it.
That's The Naked Director.
That sounds good. I actually think that sounds great. I really want to see it now. I want to check it out for sure.
It's honestly, I think it's like the best TV show that I've watched this year. Like it's my number one.
Oh wow.
Of like
nice
regular TV shows. Although I guess it's not a regular TV show because it's like a streaming TV show, but it's still my number one. It's my favorite.
Cool.
That's all. That's what matters.
Yeah. In my heart, I have
Your
love,
heart of hearts.
And the real TV was the friends we made along the way. So anyway,
Yes.
Corey or Ryan?
I think I'll take it.
Go ahead, Corey.
I watched several documentaries. And it's funny, too, because going through the list of things, I was like, oh, well, turns out this documentary I watched last year, or this documentary I watched early this year, already was like a Netflix special. So it's funny just how many things I've already seen that are already Netflix specials. There's just so many of them. So I decided to, like, I watched a lot of food stuff, like Fat, Salt, Acid, Heat, and another one called Rotten, which was both about like the food industry. Rotten was about specifically issues in the food industry and the way people are manipulating it and not ruining it, but like kind of cheating the system, you know, like making honey that's not really honey. It's just like sugar water. Or there's an episode on garlic and how like the Chinese or the Russian government wants to regulate garlic or make a specific branch of garlic and sell it. But, you know, there's money involved with food always. And it always usually came down to there was some issue with money. So it's just interesting how, like, farmers and they all have to deal with it. And I really thought I got into learning a little bit about, like, sound design in documentaries and how, like, actually important those are. But, like, yeah, I was noticing as I was watching some of the stuff and rewatching, like, Rotten, like, how much like, sound work there is in that wasn't recorded. Like, there would be scenes of people at a food market, and they'd be adding sounds of, like, people manipulating and working with food. But they definitely couldn't have captured that sound because they were, like, you know, 50 feet away or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting, like, how documentaries... it's not like they're lying, but they're like crafting it to make it a more cohesive and more immersive story. And it was like super cool. I love food documentaries. I highly suggest like Fat, Salt, Acid, Heat. That's a ton of fun. That is such a feel-good documentary on how simple cooking can be. And the host is like so into it, and she's so excited about food, and you just feel excited about food.
I'm always
And that
excited
documentary,
about
by the way, was based off a book. I never knew you could do that with a documentary. Like, it's based off a book.
a documentary that's like an adaptation of a book.
Yeah. So that was like super cool. I highly suggest Fat, Salt, Acid, Heat. That was just a lot of fun. And then I decided, well, if I'm watching some great Netflix originals, I have to watch the worst of the worst. Right? So
boy.
I looked up what the worst Netflix documentaries were. And it happens that in that list are like 2 Netflix originals. So I thought, well, if this is the worst of all of them, this must be the worst of the originals. And I tell you, man, one I watched was Sacrifice, and another one I watched was The Rachel Effect, which was the documentary about Rachel Dolezal, who pretended she was black, and then it turns out that she was actually born from white parents. And that she's just kind of like looking like she's in the black community. And that one was pretty, that one got like 1 star because it sided with Rachel.
Nice.
And it was very like, oh, she's actually a struggling mom. And she's like, oh, look at her family. Look how sad everyone is because they're being taken advantage of all the time. And it like wasn't a factual documentary at all. It was just like, oh, look how sad Rachel is. Also, she's writing a book. Like halfway through the movie, she's like, I'm writing a book now. And I thought like, well, why isn't the movie about her writing a book? Why is it just like halfway through she's like, I'm gonna write a book? It's really bad. She also only ever sold 576 copies of that book.
So would you say that documentary is really unfocused on like what it's trying to be?
It's very unfocused. It kind of hops and skips around. Like halfway through, it becomes meta. They're like, we're trusting you with this documentary as they're talking to the interviewer, who I can only assume is also the director. And it's just very one-sided. The movie like tries to seem like it's not, but the documentary doesn't do a good change of it, or it doesn't do a good job of it. So. Also, oh no, they used my favorite musician in this movie, and it made me very upset.
Who was that?
The singer Aurora, she's one of my favorite just singers, songwriters, and she was like, her music was at the very end of the movie. I was like, no, Aurora, no. Why? So that one's
sad.
Although I will give the Rachel Problem one great credit, is that the title of the movie is amazing. Because I was thinking, like, why is it the Rachel Problem? Does it have to do with, like, racial problems? And then my brain exploded because I realized the double entendre almost triple entendre, whatever they were going for. So they did. So I give them props to that. That's an amazing name for a movie. Good job on them.
You did something right.
But an arguably worse documentary I watched was called Sacrifice. And oh boy. Oh my God, it's Sacrifice. It's literally, it is Social Experiment, the movie, is what it is. It's,
Oh God.
it was,
I have such a visceral reaction to Social Experiment. I think fuck.
Is it like
that's
the
exactly
like?
what I felt.
Is it like the like? It's just a prank, bro. Like that kind of social experiment thing.
No, but it follows the same like category of like it sounds like it's scientific, but then when you watch it, you find out there's nothing social or scientific about this at all. It's just someone wanting to look cool.
Nice.
It's a stage magician who says, and this documentary doesn't have a thesis statement. You know, like most good documentaries are like, here's the goal, here's what we're trying to find out, here's the story we're telling. His goal, he said his goal was to make a person jump in front of a bullet for a random stranger. That was his goal. I'm gonna get someone to jump in front of a bullet for a stranger.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Well, no, the actual movie was about making a racist guy not racist anymore, because that's the whole thing. That's it. And oh man, from the get-go, everything's staged. It's like, bad acting, and
Yeah.
everything's staged. It's just, they did the whole, here's a video diary of our test subject, and the guy's like, whoa, today was crazy, man. He told me that if I really believed I didn't feel pain in my hand, I won't, and he stabbed my hand and I didn't feel pain. This actually happened in the documentary. I'm not making that up. They said we're gonna plant a chip in your neck, so they do, and it's just so janky. They pretend to do it so that the test subject feels like, I don't know, it's like real. They do it in like a conference room, on like a conference table. They're like, we got a doctor in here right now. He's gonna put this needle in your neck just here in the middle of this office building. I just can't believe it. And the worst thing in this whole movie is they give him these things he can do so that he can make himself like not be afraid and not feel pain. And he makes a fist and then he hits himself in the head 3 times.
Oh my God.
And they paint it like in scenes where he's like, I'm gonna play you this tone that we've conditioned you to hear, and he plays it, and then it's like as if the guy didn't hear it. He just lifts his hands nonchalantly, hits himself in the head. It doesn't even realize he's doing it. Oh no, he hates Mexicans. And then in one scene in the documentary, they're like, oh, by the way, you're 0.9% Mexican. And he's like, whoa, dude. He's like, I'm Mexican. I hate them. And then in the next scene, they're like, we're going to have you stare at this Mexican for 5 minutes just as an empathetic test. And then the test subject starts crying. He's like, I'm Mexican. I'm like, I'm one of them. And then he's like, can I give you a hug, man? And then they bro and hug it out.
Why does this sound so disingenuous and awful?
It's terribly disingenuous.
Because it
it's
is.
Terribly awful. Don't suggest it. I do suggest Fire. That's a great documentary.
Oh, about the Fire Festival?
The Fire Festival is really good.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
But
that one is such a good one.
I'm going to skip over that because I talked way too much about Sacrifice. I want to talk about my favorite documentary, one of my favorite documentaries I've ever seen, Wild Wild Country. That is a fantastic documentary about a cult of people in Oregon, and how I've never heard of this cult is beyond me. There's so much stuff going on. If you want the trimmed down version, just watch Bill Hader's Documentary Now episode on the cult, and it's basically the same thing. But this is a 6 episode each, 6 hours long, and this is like a 6 episode series on how this cult from India came to Oregon, bought I can't tell you how many acres of land, but bought like a county-sized plot of land, built like a city, and then basically tried to start taking over the state and just all of the wild things that were going on with these group of people. It was people that believed in free love, so there was this like kind of just the town was backlashing because they didn't like the fact that people were just randomly having sex everywhere, and they were loud and they just didn't get it. So most of it is like, oh well, you know, these people are just kind of like enjoying life, and it's like, oh, the people in the town are like stuck in their old ways. But at the same time, you're like, well, they are trying to commit murder. And there's like things getting kind of just undermined, and things in this town are just kind of escalating. And they give you a good idea of what it's like to think you're a part of this nice cult, but to be like brainwashed to not know it. Like the story kind of beat by beat tells you what happens to this town of people. And it's like no one's the good guy, and no one's really the bad guy either. It was just this wildly fantastic documentary that just went into how crazy a cult can be. I can't explain how great it was. It was like one of my favorite documentaries I've watched.
I definitely want to check that out. That sounds really cool.
It's so, if you like cults and like learning about how crazy people can get, it's like, oh, it was wild. And it's so surprising. There's so much footage for everything. They have footage of literally everything. It's like Steve-O has footage of every second of his life. There's like every second of like this journey is documented because it was like a 4-year long battle from like the get-go to like people finally getting arrested and this whole cult being shut down. And this was like in the 80s, late 70s and 80s. I could not believe it. And the other thing is the leader, Osho, is this Indian man. I've heard his voice. I've seen his talks recorded, like, you know, old wise man gives advice on life. And I'm like, oh, well, I recognize this guy. And it turns out he's this big wild leader who has like 2 jets and like freaking like 100 Rolls Royces. And he's just like this rich ass $1 billion man who's like proclaims to be the spiritual leader and then doesn't proclaim to be the spiritual leader, and then takes a vow of silence and then doesn't, and then it's wild. It's full of deceit, it's full of deception. I love it. That's enough. I've talked a lot, so
that sounds awesome. I mean, I'm adding that to my Netflix queue for sure.
Man, right
Wild
now.
Wild Country. I already did, actually.
Really?
I'm not even kidding. I did. Also, The Naked Director I did as well. I added that to my
Hell yeah.
to my list. I have Netflix open, but not like watching anything, just to like look.
there you go. Oh, and Wild Wild Country also has great sound design and music. Like, God, so immersive. It looks beautiful. Definitely one of the reasons why it's one of the best documentaries on Netflix. So, just go see it and check it out. Enjoy it. Ryan, I'll let you finish this off.
All right. I'm going to talk about 3 different shows, all varying in quality. So, I'm going to talk about something. I'm going to start off with Mindhunter, because this one I've seen more recently. This one I've been watching throughout the week, and how I decided to watch Mindhunter was I was at the bookstore, and I actually saw the Mindhunter novel, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know that the show was a novel. So I opened it up and I kind of started reading a little bit of it, and I was like, this is pretty interesting, but I didn't buy the book. I just decided to put it back, but I was like, maybe I'll check it out because it was really fascinating. So I was like, maybe I should really check out the series. And then when I was watching it, I had no idea, but my favorite director, David Fincher, directs the show. He's pretty much...
Yes.
He like makes the show. If you don't know who David Fincher is, he made The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo US remake. He made Gone Girl, Fight Club, things like that. So like
He did
really
the
great
first,
director.
like 3 or 4 episodes of House of Cards.
Yeah,
And you could like, his stuff looks really good.
Yeah, this show looks amazing. And how this show became what it is that Charlize Theron gave David Fincher Mindhunter, the book, and he read the book, and Charlize Theron and him are executive producers of the show. So I didn't know that either until I was like looking through and researching about the show. And it's based on like the stories are pretty much from the FBI. This guy was ex-FBI. He worked there for a while. He worked in the behavioral science unit where he pretty much studies the human mind and psychology of people. And so him and another FBI agent and the behavioral department would go around to local police departments to teach people about hostage negotiations and FBI tactics to local police officers. But while they were out there, there were a couple of officers that would be like, hey, we just had this big homicide. Can you please help us out with the case? And so they kind of help figure out and solve these cases and things like that and assist the local police. But also they go to jails and they record conversations with serial killers and try to figure out what makes them tick, what makes them crazy, and what, is it based on like bad upbringing? Is it based on like, like fetishistic stuff? Like, what is it that makes people want to commit such horrible atrocities? And it's really, really, really interesting. It's more played on the psychological than it really is on like the gruesome and visceral, but there is stuff in here that can get really grotesque. But it talks more about it than it really does anything else. But I personally really love this show. I think it's well directed, well acted, and well put together. And it's really slow and methodical, but it's like, I don't know, it's just really fascinating. I just love psychology and I love psychological stuff. And, I'm really invested in this. I've watched all of season 1, so I can't wait to see season 2. But it's really incredible. And also, again, my favorite director, David Fincher, hitting this up. So it's a little bit of a, I'm trying to think of the word for it. Bias, I guess, towards the show. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
That does sound awesome, though. I've never.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It sounds familiar to me, but I've never watched like this show, and I don't. Is it popular? Is it older?
No, it's pretty popular. It's fairly newish. It came out in like 2017, I think.
Okay, so it's like a couple of years old though.
Yeah, so it's like
because it definitely sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, it's. I mean, again, it's like just about understanding what makes a serial killer, and like why do people do what they do, and things like that. And I really love that kind of stuff, and I really like watching like unsolved mysteries, and like I like shit like that. Like I like my murder mystery kind of stuff. So
hell yeah.
And I watch like ID detective stuff all the time. Like I don't know why, I just really do enjoy like learning this kind of stuff. So the show does a really, really good job at like getting you really immersed in that kind of mindset in that world and just kind of like what it's like. And I find it extraordinarily fascinating. So I highly recommend it. It's a awesome show. Really, really awesome show. With some really great performances too.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
And then a little more lighthearted. That one's a little more darker and stuff. So if you're not feeling like the dark and kind of like, oh, this is kind of like sad to watch, there's this great show which based on Corey, you talked a lot about cooking documentaries.
Yes.
Well, I got a cooking documentary technically. It's called The Chef Show.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter has a show called The Chef Show where he makes some fava beans and
I also don't think that's a Netflix original, so it's like a stretch of a joke.
Yeah, no.
You tried.
Do you guys know Jon Favreau? Yeah. Obviously. Okay. Yeah.
No.
Wow.
Who's Jon Favreau?
I feel like he's a chef, maybe.
No.
No, he is not. He is a director.
Okay.
He's a film director.
Okay.
He made the first Iron Man movie.
And he's in every Iron Man
The Jungle
movie.
Book.
He plays Happy Hogan.
Happy.
He was in the Spider-Man movies.
Oh, okay.
So he made a movie called Chef a couple of years back, and I love that movie, by the way. Hard push. Love the movie Chef. Watch it. It's great. And so now he's made a Netflix documentary series called The Chef Show, where it's him and the catering crew, from the guy that does like the catering for the movie Chef and was also in the movie Chef, make food with like stars. So like, Seth Rogen's in episode 1 of season 2. They have Charlize Theron in another episode. They've got Gwyneth Paltrow in another. They've got pretty much Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. in a couple. So, and Binging with Babish is in another episode, which I thought was really cool. So if you liked Binging with Babish, there he's in an episode. And it's really great. It's just like a really fun, digestible 25-minute show. It's like 20 minutes an episode.
Oh, that's
you can
not
get
bad.
through it pretty quickly. There's like 6 episodes in the first season. The season 2 just dropped like at the beginning of this month, so I got through it all. I loved it. It's like, it's very fun. They just talk about food, and it makes you hungry, and it just gives you ideas of how to cook. And I just like watching people cook. It's just like my favorite thing to do.
It's very nice. I don't know why. It's like cathartic watching people cook.
It is.
I don't know. I feel
It's
like I'm learning, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they teach you about cooking, they show you recipes, and they tell you what's in it and stuff like that and whatever. But, you know, I think it's like, there's something about it that not only is it just like, it's so satisfying just to see the finished product
Yeah.
and like the work and the preparation that's put into making it,
Yeah.
which, I mean, I love it. And I like that in between segments of them filming stuff, they will they have like this like animation, like stop motion animation of like a food truck and stuff like that, and like showing off the food. They have like this really cool dissection of the food where it flies up in the air and it splits off into pieces, and it tells
neat.
you all the ingredients. It's really cool, and I love how they present it. And it's a very funny show. You know, it's very laid back. It's not like a typical "this is how to cook this said meal" kind of show. It's like just them powwowing it out, talking about, you know, movies and like their career, and talking about the movie chef, or, you know, talking about food and why they love food, and what, you know, what are some of their favorite foods and stuff, you know. So it's like, it's kind of like really interviewing, you know, different celebrities and stuff like that while they cook.
Yeah.
So I love it for that reason. I love the aesthetic, and I just love, you know, Jon Favreau. He's like a really cool uncle that, like, you go to
That's
his
a good description of him.
yeah, he's like the cool uncle. You go to his barbecue, like you go out to the family barbecue, and he makes the bomb ass food.
Yeah, Ryan, you like cheeseburgers?
I do. I love cheeseburgers.
I'm gonna buy you a lot of cheeseburgers.
Oh, thank you.
And so is
I
Jon
appreciate
Favreau.
it. Jon Favreau, dude, some of the food they make on that show, I got really fucking hungry. I was like, oh my god, I want that in my mouth right now. Let me eat that. I wanted to grab right off the screen and just take it.
Just grab
That would've
Jon
been one of those
Favreau's
moments.
body and just take a bite.
Oh, I would take a bite. I'd take a big bite out of that boy.
Oh. Maybe I'll learn a little bit about myself.
And it's all in LA, Corey. So you can maybe visit him in LA and see if he can cook for you.
Corey, he can be your personal chef dad.
Yeah.
Do you want
he could
an
be your
assist-
chef dad?
Do you want an assistant? And I put quotes around assistant. Do you want a personal ass assistant? And I just I put more quotations around just the word ass in assistant.
Ass. The ass is fat, my man.
Yeah. And fat is what makes meat
But-
delicious.
But yeah, no, it's a very fluffy show, something very nice. So if you're looking for something more pleasant, you know,
Yeah. If you're looking for a
and just-
fluffer.
Yeah.
you want something aesthetic, and you're like, oh, I love food, and you like cooking, this show is way for you. I love this show so much. I like fell into the show hole of just watching it.
I would have said now at this point, if we were still back on, like Harry hadn't gone yet, I would have said, speaking of fluffing, and then probably turned it over to the naked director. But anyways.
I was actually
Yeah,
going to segue. I was going to say, speaking of pleasant experiences, Ryan, why don't you tell us about your next show?
This is not a pleasant experience. This is probably the worst one out of the bunch. And I watched the first 2 seasons of 13 Reasons Why. Mostly because I was thinking about doing an episode on 13 Reasons Why for my YouTube channel with Have You Read That Movie, because I'm going to read the book.
Shameless
But
plug.
yeah, shameless plug to my YouTube channel.
I want to talk about my YouTube channel
wait.
too, Corey View. It's just there.
Ryan, if you're going to plug your
Here.
YouTube, you should do it properly. You didn't even say the name of the channel.
It's called Hi-Fi. It's HI-FI.
Nice.
So go check it out. And then, Harry, do you have a plug
I don't.
for anything?
Hey, all right, I'd like to plug Oh Baby a Triple. It's this really, really high-quality podcast that me and a couple of friends put together. Go check it out at Wow Factory on YouTube, and also a bunch of podcast things.
Make sure you
my
hit
God.
that subscribe button.
Don't
hit
forget
that bell
to
so you
like
get the
and
notifications.
leave us 5 stars and
Oh my God.
subscribe. That's all I got.
And give us
Sweet
a good
Christmas.
review on Google.
Yeah, review
I
me
don't
on
know,
Yelp.
Find. Yes.
Oh my god. What were you gonna say, Corey? It sounded like you had something to say.
Oh, speaking of feeling dead inside, I think you wanted to talk more about 13 Reasons Why.
Wow, what a transition! All right, 13 Reasons Why. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people know what it is, but to those who don't, 13 Reasons Why is a show about a girl who commits suicide and then leaves behind tapes that she gives to different people that are on the tapes and tells them that you're the reason why she killed herself, and then talks about and like is using it as a means to tell you what you did wrong, to to feel like to realize that everything is not okay, and it's like so the idea of it wasn't too bad. I thought, okay, this isn't like I know a lot of people talk about like, oh, this is problematic, it glorifies suicide, all this other things. I didn't really think it glorified suicide, but that's just me. I don't know if it's because I'm just blissfully ignorant about that kind of stuff, but I thought it was actually kind of interesting. I didn't mind season 1, actually. I thought it was okay. Like, there's some dialogue that's really bad, it's really cringy. There's some, it's like the CW version of like, it's like if the CW made a Netflix series. So it's kind of like it's like teen melodrama. It does get a little too melodramatic sometimes. But the thing is that the reason why it got a lot of buzz was because there's a lot of shock in the show where it shows some things that are, little tough topics, and it's like, it's supposed to start the discussion, which I'm okay with. I'm absolutely fine with shows to do that, and I respect that they want to do a show where they have conversation topics. But there is scenes of like, sexual assault and rape, which was kind of bad. I was like, oh, yeah. And then also suicide at the end, which was pretty hard. So it was like really dark and stuff like that for those aspects. But then there's a lot of moments in which the show, I was like just sitting there going, this is really stupid. Yeah. Because like the whole story centers around this character named Clay. And he gets the tapes, so it's his turn to listen to the tapes.
Right.
And there's a bunch of people before him that already listened to their tape. And so the buildup is what he did and why is he on the tape and what did he do? Because he seemed like a really good friend to her, and and like he's like, what did I do to kill you and stuff like that. So it's him wondering about that, but everyone just yells at him, just listen to the fucking tapes for like 13 episodes is literally him just going, why am I on the tape? And they're like, just listen to the tape. And he does that like, and like he just jumps to fucking reaction and just goes, oh my god, and then he just flips out. It's like, dude, just listen to the rest of it. Like he just blows up on the instant of when he hears something.
It's my favorite thing in any media is when people jump to conclusions because they're like, this one guy said you did this thing, and it's like, oh, god damn, just shut up.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's Clay throughout the whole thing. That's all he does throughout the whole thing. And also he looks like Logan Lerman, so I kept thinking that it was Logan Lerman, but it's not. It's different actor. But like, so he does that, and then he goes crazy. Oh, and I hated this stuff. He starts seeing visions of like things that aren't there. Like he starts hallucinating, and I'm like, okay, I get what they're trying to go for, but it got really over the top when literally there's a basketball game going on, and then he looks at center court and he sees the girl that commits suicide. Her name's Hannah. He sees her lying in the floor with her wrist cut open and blood everywhere around her, and everyone's like running around where her body is, and he's like, oh my god, stop the game. No. She's on the floor, you can see her, she's dying. And then
you didn't know it, Ryan, but this show and the book is also about psychosis. It just suddenly appears though halfway through.
It's so stupid and comes out of nowhere, and it gets really ridiculous, and I was like, that was so stupidly over the top. It got like kind of dumb, and I was like, okay, this is going a little too far, but whatever. But like, other than that, I mean, it was okay. Like, I didn't mind it. But then we get to season 2, which season 2 is about the trial. There is a trial now where all the students are going on trial to talk about, whether the school is being held accountable, because like Hannah's mom sues the school for a lawsuit in the first season and essentially wants to take the school to court because she's like, my daughter had been pleading for help and the school did nothing to help her. And so essentially it's like it's like it's a good idea. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna go through the trial. This is gonna be interesting. It's the worst thing I think I've ever watched in my entire life.
Oh no.
It's awful. I can't get through. Like, I got through season 1 in a binge. Like, I got through it really fast. I think I watched it in like a day and a half. I watched all of season 1. Season 2, I'm only halfway through it. I'm on episode 5 of season 2 because I could only watch one episode a night because it got so bad. Like, the quality of like the writing went downhill. Now Hannah, the dead girl, is now a ghost, and Clay sees her all the time, and he talks to her. He fucking talks to her.
Oh,
and
God.
On top of that, not fucking around, she tells him what to do. She's like, "Why don't you do this?" And then he does it, and then it like saves.
Oh no!
This thing. It's like, I hate this cliche of I see dead girl, and we have full conversation as if she was alive, and it's so fucking bad. And it tries to touch upon even deeper things like, oh no, there's gonna be a school shooter, and you're like, oh no, don't do this. And then like they do the cliche of like the guy has the gun, he's like, hey, you want to shoot a gun? They shoot at the bottles in the backyard, and he's like, wow, you're really good at this, And it's all that fucking nonsense that you've seen in everything, but it's doing it all over again, but it's doing it really bad. The dialogue is just 10 times worse.
Damn.
And I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, I thought season 1 was, like, gonna be bad, but then I actually kind of somewhat enjoyed it. Season 2 just is what I expected the show to be from the beginning.
Okay.
Which was just garbage.
Okay, Ryan.
It's so bad.
In a quick list, can you give me 13 reasons why you hated 13 reasons why?
Bad writing, bad acting, bad dialogue, bad tropes,
Yeah.
bad melodrama,
That's 5.
bad screenplay. I don't know. No, that's
you had like
writing.
writing and dialogue. I don't know if you can use screenplay.
So
I don't know.
I'm letting him milk it.
Just like this show.
Can you just
Bad
name
bad awkward teen sex.
just name 5 more characters, and then I think you've reached 13.
Poor mixed messaging of like mental illness. Bad parenting. There's a lot of bad parenting in this film. Series, I guess. I mean, sorry. There's a teenager that's supposed to be 17 years old, but he looks like he's played by an actor that's 30 years old. Not even
Nice.
kidding. And he looks it. His name is Tony. The character's name is Tony. He looks like a 30-year-old, and he is. He's 26 years old, and he's playing a 17-year-old. He literally says, "Yeah, I'm 17 now," and I'm like, "That's bullshit."
Just got a skateboard slung over his shoulder. He's like, "Hello, fellow students."
That's really what he is. He's just the Steve Buscemi character. It's absolutely insane. And then there's like random characters that pop out of nowhere going, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Who are you? What the fuck are you? Like, you haven't been in this show. Why do you care about this character's life? Who are you?" And then they like go away and they never come back. There's even a line where like one of them's like, "I don't even know who you are. Get away from me."
It's the deeper message of the show. Those are the psychosis characters.
Oh, so the other characters are psychotic too, other than the main character.
They're gonna reveal that it was all
Right.
a
He's the
dream.
ghost.
Yeah, he's in a coma.
13 reasons why I hate this show.
He's gonna start running around and catching Pokemon like real life, and then
Ooh,
you're gonna realize.
You know what? Honestly, Clay is one step ahead of that. So you know what? I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting there. He's gonna start seeing all these. He's gonna see Pikachu's popping up everywhere instead. I can't wait for that. I think that's in season 3, right? That's where the Pokemon show up.
Yeah, that's where.
And then he just suddenly gets a cap, and he's like, "Oh my god!" He's dressed like Ash Ketchum, and then they're like, and his mom walks in the room, and she's like, "Hey, you're gonna be late for your choosing ceremony," and then he's like, "What?"
Right. The choosing.
And then he chooses his Pokemon, and then he's a Pokemon master.
Yeah, and he
then
chooses.
it just-
he chooses Aerodactyl, because
13 reasons why.
Just because.
13 Reasons Why I Became a Pokemon Master is the name of season 4.
Yeah. 13 Reasons Why is this the shortened version of that?
13 Reasons Why I
Yeah.
Gotta Be the Very Best.
Yes!
13 Reasons Why, like no one ever was.
Dude. Oh, god damn it. Dude, I'd rather watch that. That sounds
13's
actually
why-
good.
13 Reasons Why I gotta catch them all.
Oh my god. No, can we get that? Netflix, get on that. Just
Yeah.
And what's funny is like the author of the book also is like discrediting this series. He's like, I have nothing to do with this. Like, I don't want anything to do with the
I
show.
think I would too, honestly.
It's really bad. It's just so bad, and I just don't understand how like. I just don't get it. Like, again, season 1 passable at best. You know, it's like, you know, it's not the worst. It's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. But, you know, it's watchable. I would definitely say if you wanted to check it out, watch season 1 and see if it's your cup of tea. But if you don't like season 1, then don't even dare touch season 2 or 3. I can't believe this got 3 seasons, by the way.
God.
So, because apparently, like, season 3 is pretty bad, too. I heard it's not very good either. My roommates have been watching it. They're the reasons why that's one of the reasons why I started watching
13
it.
Reasons Why you
13.
started watching it.
Yeah. So, it was because my roommates were watching it, and they were like, hey, you should watch this. And I was like,
It's really
I
good.
guess. No, they said they said, like, the first season was good, but they said everything else is awful.
They're pulling a fast one on you. They're like, hey, Ryan, watch it. It's really good.
No. And then also Kayla has been talking about Riverdale, and she's like, oh, man, you should watch 13 Reasons, though. Because she's been on that train of watching really crummy, like, teen melodramas,
Oh, yeah. Damn.
which
Kayla-
Riverdale is very similar to
Kayla's our
what's going on.
other number 1 fan.
Yeah. But, yeah, I know she's been making those hot takes on Riverdale on her chats.
Oh, yeah.
Hell
So
yeah.
I thought it was kind of funny. And
Yeah,
it's like,
I love reading through them. She's like,
Been like a roller
oh my god, they
coaster.
just did this. Oh, it's,
that show has gotten crazy wildly weird. I didn't know how deep that rabbit hole was going, but it sure did.
oh, it goes all the way down.
But yeah, 13 Reasons is like the CW of Netflix. So if you want to,
That's quite a
if you want to
pedigree.
watch some, if you want to subject yourself through it, go ahead. But I'd say like at least season 1 is worth a watch,
Right.
worth checking out at least to see if you're interested. I would much prefer you guys check out Mindhunter and The Chef Show way more over 13. I'll be honest.
Right.
Way superior shows, way better shows, much better in quality.
But watch Wild Wild Country first.
Wild Wild Country, Naked Director, let's go. All of this.
Yes.
All of it.
So that was our Netflix deep dive. I hope you liked it.
I hope you didn't.
I know. Oh god.
Everybody stop listening.
Yeah, they're all gone by now.
Everybody quit when Harry started talking about porn. God damn.
Hey, you know, so
I
then that
should
KY
also-
jelly
It's probably
promo.
important. I should give a notice. It is a very mature rated show. It's
Yeah.
quite graphic. Probably should have mentioned that before I recommended it.
Don't watch it while you're home with mom.
Yeah.
Actually, same goes with Mindhunter.
thought you were gonna say
Surprisingly, some
13
graphic
Reasons
sex
Why.
scenes. Oh well, that also has some sex scenes in it that are a little
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
But Mindhunter has some a lot heavier sex than I expected. So yeah. Make sure mom and dad's out of the room for
You know,
Mindhunter.
honestly, Wild Wild Country is kind of in the same boat. There's there's a lot of stuff where it's like, hey, we got a hidden camera recording of this like session that they're doing, and it's like just people screaming and naked and banging, and it's like
What
whoa,
the fuck?
this
It's
is
so
this is therapy, quote unquote therapy.
that gives me the freaking heebie-jeebies, my guy. Oh my god.
There's a context to it that would take me a while to explain, but in the movie, it's like, okay, I can see how things led to this, but it's still strange. It's still all that wild
Yeah.
and crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that wraps it up for this show. Thank you for checking out Oh Baby Triple. I don't know how to. I
Gotta-
fucking have to
Gotta
write
come
an
up
outro.
with an outro, yeah.
every week I say I do, and every week I don't, and I'm wondering if it's becoming a thing where I just don't have an outro. I think I want to start making one. So
Feel free to give us a like on Facebook and follow us on all the streaming platforms that you can.
And donate
Don't
to
forget-
our Patreon.
yeah, and don't forget to save the project and export files as MP3s. Thanks, everybody. Bye.